So yes, maybe we can jump to the next presentations, and maybe as soon as Robin is back, then we can revisit the slides with him. So Luis, if you can go to the next slides, please. So yes, actually my plan was to build upon Robin's presentations, and apparently we can do it in reverse, so don't worry. I think we are going to have a very nice complementary discussions today. So what I would like to discuss with you is the post-COVID-19 economic recovery and some restart scenarios for the tourism sector, not only in Mauritius, but also globally, because the situations that we are now encountering very much influence the tourism in Mauritius. Next slide, please. So at the end of April, the number of new COVID-19 cases are increasing again. So we can see in this figure, this is due to the new coronavirus variants, as in UK, South Africa, and Brazil, as you can see there. And the green color, very small, refers to Africa, and at the bottom, the dark blue represents Europe. And on top of it, you have Asia and Africa. What I wanted you to see here is that it's clear that Europe, Asia, and America are still struggling with high COVID-19 incidents. And we will see a bit later why is this of relevance to our discussions today. So next slide, please. Yes, so using a different illustration, here we can see how the world is still struggling to control the infection, with dark and darker orange colors, here representing locations with worse situations. Similar picture as we saw before, here we can see how Europe, Americas, and partly Asia are currently in a rather bad shape in terms of COVID-19 spread. So next slide, please. And now we are trying to zoom in this slide. In Europe, almost just like other countries are more or less in similar situations, which is rather bad. Though we know the EU countries are now quickly increasing their vaccination rates. Germany, for example, currently here in Germany, the government is targeting that by June, everyone can already apply for vaccinations. Currently, the vaccination is given to the prioritized or the risk groups. So why is Europe important to our discussions today? The next slide, please, Luis. So here we can see how France, United Kingdom, including Reunion Island and Germany in particular, are the key tourism markets for Mauritius. So in 2019, France alone sending around 300,000 tourists and 140,000 from Reunion Island. And these figures is followed by UK and Germany with each around 130,000 tourists in 2019. So we can see how the three countries play an important role to tourism in Mauritius, and how the situations currently in these countries in particular affecting the restart of tourism sector in Mauritius in the coming few months. So next slide, please. Yes, thank you. So I think this figure doesn't come as a surprise to us all here today. This data summarizes global tourist arrivals last year in 2020. Here we can see the international tourist arrivals dropped significantly in 2020 following the COVID-19 outbreak. At the same time, we can see here that international tourist arrivals are 59 from Europe. You see in the pie diagram there, followed by Americas with 17% and Asia 14%. Again, this figure shows why Europe is important when discussing global tourism, because opening borders and tourism restart in Europe would also mean an increase in international tourist arrivals globally, including to Mauritius. Next slide, please. Now we would like to see how the tourism restart scenario would look like. The UNWTO has revised their scenarios following the prolonged COVID-19 situations around the world. And I would like to think that these two scenarios that you can see here in this slide reflect successful vaccination programs in majority of countries around the world, particularly in Europe, Americas, and Asia. Depending on how fast these countries in the three regions can vaccinate their citizens, and with that, the reopening of their borders, UNWTO draws two different scenarios. So could you please go to the next, please? Thank you. So the first scenario reflects the possibility of reopening of borders by July this year, which will increase international tourist arrivals by 66% compared to the last year. Though this looks already promising to us today, the figure is actually still 55% below the 2019 levels. And in the second scenarios, we can see the possibility of reopening of borders by September, a little bit late, probably due to some prolonged vaccination period in major countries and prolonged introductions of harmonized protocols such as digital green certificate, which is currently being planned by the EU and will be launched. And in UK, we know that the government already launched similar applications, digital applications for those who are already vaccinated or already recovered from COVID-19. In this second scenario, we could see international tourist arrivals is predicted to increase by 22% compared to last year. Again, this figure is calculated as 67% below the 2019 levels. So despite the rather grim outlooks that we are foreseeing here through the two scenarios, of course, we as tourism actors would be keen on seeing the borders start to open as soon as possible. And let's hope that this scenario one will be the one that come true, because the sooner global tourism can rebound, the higher our chance to recover this particular tourism economic sector. Next slide, please. So now the question we can ask how tourism actors and business prepare for a tourism restart. How can they start tourism activities in a better way or as a more sustainable way? As we have been witnessing with the COVID-19 outbreak, people around the world, especially the young generation, start to see the connection between environment protection with their well-being. Therefore, consumers in a post-COVID-19 world will want to make sure that they protect the environment while traveling. This means business will have to follow if they still want to stay in business. Although this may sound negative to us, but actually we all can see the simple logic behind protecting the environment to our businesses. It's because we live in this world and tourism depends largely on the environment. So it's simple logic. Failing to protect our environment will mean inviting many more global crises and pandemics, just like what we are experiencing today. So here we see the first documents out of two that we would like to share with you quickly that can help you as tourism actors and businesses find your new strategies when restarting your business in a more sustainable way. And by the way, there is a strong business case in adopting sustainability into your business because we strongly believe sustainability will help make your business more resilient to potential shocks like what we have today, but in the future. Okay, so this is the first document published by UNWTO last year. This is called Global Guidelines to Restart Tourism. I hope After this workshop, you will have the chance to check the document yourself, since we have very limited time today to really go into details of all the important informations mentioned there. But at least there are 7 priorities. Next slide, please. There are 7 priorities that UNWTO has identified as essential for us when restarting our tourism in Mauritius. First, it's about staying liquid financially and protecting jobs. Next, it's about how we can improve traveler confidence through establishing sound hygiene and safety measures. Next, it's about identifying new opportunities to partner up or collaborate. That's why we are here today. We hope together with other organizers and the project team members, we can facilitate new collaborations and partnerships between you, our dear participants. And the 4th priority is opening borders carefully. The next priority is about finding a way to harmonize all protocols and procedures, particularly between the host and receiving countries, in this case, UK, France, and Germany, with Mauritius. 6th priority is about adding value to your customers through the use of new technologies. So never shy away from trying out new digital technologies out there. And last but not least, innovation and sustainability should be prioritized. More often than not, the two, innovation and sustainability, go hand in hand. You will be innovative when you try to become sustainable, and the other way around. So I'm almost at the end of my presentations in this second document. The next slide, please. Yes. UNWTO outlines 6 key topics or actions that will be part of company strategies, your strategies, when pursuing a responsible tourism restart. And as we can see in the chat box, many of you are keen on finding ways how to formulate your strategies when you restart your business in the next few months. So the key actions here include public health. It's about creating synergies between public health, public authorities, and the tourism actors. It's about social inclusions, how you as tourism actors can also support your local communities, because we know that the young generations are really interested in experiencing local cultures as well, not only the environment. And then we have biodiversity conservation, how important it is to protect environment as natural barriers for future pandemics. And next is climate actions or climate change, which was already mentioned by Lindsay and Patrick earlier, how important it is to cut your CO2 emissions, and how European companies, tourism companies, will see this increasingly important in the next few years, because we are required by the EU governments to ensure that we reduce our CO2 emissions. Next is the circular economy. And one of the big topics we are witnessing in recent days is the plastic littering in the oceans. And I believe this is going to be a big issue as well for Mauritius, where the tourism depends on a lot on the oceans, on marine environment. Last but not least, we have governments and finance, the importance of forging new partnerships between public agencies and private entities. And you all will see how we are going to tackle this, all the topics here in the next sessions, discussions, and workshops. Finally, thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, please let us know through the chat box. Over to you, Andreas and Luis. Thank you.